Greetings and salutation, race fans, car lovers, and others. Gary.
You are sitting in a different space at the moment.
No.
Is this our new production office?
Well,
Hi
production.
there, everybody. Sorry.
How's it? No.
Hola.
Signore Chiquita. Muchos grande, senor. So, for a second show in a row,
In English, what was all of that about?
welcome to another episode of WavedYellow. Be prepared for anything. We don't even know what's going to happen, but it's all exciting. And thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, queries, and comments, please, you know what to do with them. And
Yes.
Sparky here will actually get them sorted out, and then we'll try and answer them. So, Gary,
So
second
I've gone from,
time in a
am I
row.
now Sparky sidekick?
Well, yeah, I'm the sidekick who, like, we're going to talk about why I'm called sidekick, or the event that I'm called sidekick at.
Yeah, well,
But the cool thing is that
Yes.
I'm in a racing car again. This is not good for my sanity.
Well, after everything we've done, you keep on talking to me, but I thought, let me try and get you into one. So production managed to put this together, and this could be our office for the future, if you,
Well-
depending on what plan you come up with.
Well, apparently, no, I prefer the other office.
Oh, okay.
We, if you recall, for those who, I hate that, if you recall. Of course they recall. That's like listening to that stupid talk station. It is the worst thing in the world. Don't listen to talk radio because they come up with all these frickin' crutches. Oh, welcome to our new partner. We have people love this show so
Yes.
much. They partner with us.
Who's that?
So the DBAC movement, DBAC, hashtag DBAC.
AC, yes.
Hello, Matthew. We are sitting in Matthew Nash's workshop. Sorry, the Nash Motorsport
Engineering workshop.
with James Forbes and Matthew Nash. Matthew's just flown in from Swartkorps where there's been a whole lot of stuff happening. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about
that was a
now.
noisy helicopter came in. That's why we delayed the
Well,
start a bit, because
I
otherwise
know.
the mic wouldn't have picked us
There
up.
was a bit of smoke from the building across the way that got burned.
Yeah.
So
Burned it.
So welcome DBAC. Have a look if you don't know about the movement. It is vital for the future of humanity. So join the DBAC movement. This is not good. I preferred sitting in the Lamborghini, but this is more doable. The Lamborghini's dreamland. This is reality.
Well, you know something, just talking about that, there's a very strong possibility we may be doing something from Lamborghini within the next 2 weeks.
Oh, you mean I'm going to drive a car? Yeah.
I didn't
Right,
say that.
so
I just
here
said
we
we're going
are.
to do something from
Gary,
Lamborghini.
We've had a couple of complaints from the time management department.
Yes.
I've got complaints for production, no notes today. I've got complaints for catering, nothing. I've got a serious argument with makeup because look at this. They think I'm the wild man from Borneo. I'll be wild.
Right,
Oh,
folks. Yes.
They said I was wild
Now
in
listen.
a racing car,
Yeah,
so
no,
I will be
let's
wild.
just quickly.
Okay, so we're in a...
What happened this last weekend?
What happened?
Your mate went and did something.
First of all, condolences to Ferrari lovers everywhere. Mr. Macchioni passed away from complications to surgery to your shoulder. And he wasn't at a local South African hospital. Thanks, James, for that news. So, you know, it's tragic, but I think we all kind of reminded that, Gary, we closer
Yeah.
to the box than the...
Box?
I meant the box that goes in the ground as opposed to the birth.
Colin, this is a family station. People,
I'm
kids are
sorry, but the butterflies got hold of me.
Yes.
So, I was reminded how fortunate I am today. My
Yeah.
Batgirl was admitted to intensive care, and it's so fantastic that when you see your kids take charge, manage a situation calmly, carefully, and so to Lauren and Benki, well done kids, especially to Bianca, and Batgirl, get better. So you can be Batgirl.
I want to know, is the family watching us?
I don't know. I think they you know, it doesn't matter. But
Okay.
okay. So then there was no proper racing.
No.
Apart from NASCAR,
What happened?
my man won again. Kevin Harvick Bush out of the way, and they say rubbing is racing. So he gave him a little bit of a nudge, just enough to get him loose.
Is that like a nudge that happened in a South African race a couple of weeks ago?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this is just a little nudge, not a nudge big enough to move him out the way, and not big enough so that Kyle Busch landed up in the wall.
Right.
So Busch finished second, Harvick won, and the greatest thing was the best sound, the commentary was
Yeah.
when Harvick moved Bush out of the way.
Yeah.
I think it was Dale Earnhardt Jr. says to him, "You better get out of the way because if Bush comes anywhere near you, he'll drive you into the wall." So that was my man, Kevin Harvick, absolutely fantastic. There was another little race in where was it?
Asia.
In Germany.
Oh, in Germany.
In Germany, where the German drove into the wall again.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to talk about that. But my
No.
man, if Ferrari had a proper strategist and they weren't just using up Kimi, he would have won that race.
Yes.
Because Kimi is the greatest racing driver in the world. He is the fastest, he is the funnest, he's the bestest. And he's my man.
And the coolest.
And the absolute coolest. But he's been used up by Ferrari.
Yes.
And what I think from his point of view is pretty cool is here you've got, he's a world champion. He's the last guy to win a Grand Prix for Ferrari. A world championship for Ferrari. Hello? That's how great he is. And so here he is, he's being used up by Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's being paid gazillions of euros.
Yes.
And he just chills and drives fast and has fun.
Yeah.
Go Kimi, my man. Right.
That brings us on to what happens this coming weekend.
This coming weekend, are we going the Biggie.
The Biggie.
The biggest GT3 race in the world.
And the longest.
Ever. I don't know. Is technically
Longest is in time.
well, there's two 24-hour races.
That's, well, okay, so the
yeah,
one
I
might be
think it's
24 hours
longer.
and 1 minute.
No, this one is longer because it is closer to Greenwich
Meantime,
Meridian, the thingy.
the line.
That line. That stripe that goes through Greenland.
So what, yeah, okay.
Greenwich Land.
Yeah,
Gary, you know what I mean.
And
we've got
have,
four
and we have a whole lot of South African drivers there.
So let's start with David Perel.
David Perel in a Ferrari.
Of course, which is green, naturally.
Yeah. We got Adrian Zaab, who's got a South African mum.
He's in a Jaguar.
In a Jaguar. We got
anybody know somebody at Jaguar? Just like hint.
We got Jordan Pepper in a Bentley. By the way, Jordan Pepper and his team are lying joint third in the Endurance Championship, Blancpain Endurance Championship, which makes up this.
And that's not just the old Bentley. That's the current, latest, state-of-the-art. What do they call it? Bentley Evo, the one with the Mercedes engine in. I think.
So that puts an extra two Mercedes.
No, it's the Aston Martin that's got the Mercedes. The Bentley's got an Audi engine.
Let's just don't worry about it. Okay? And then
our favourites.
And then we got the two boys.
The Van der Linde
brothers.
The brothers in an Audi R8.
Yes.
V10, four-wheel drive, awesome stuff. We spoke to them last week. And what to me was so cool.
Yeah.
If you subscribe and pay, there's like a premium option for the subscription. You get to the behind-the-scenes content.
You mean on the app?
Yeah.
On the Blancpain GT app.
No, on our app.
Oh,
Gary.
Okay.
On WavedYellow, D-Bag. So on our app, we're about to introduce this subscription. You get golden content. And how cool was it to sit for an hour? They stayed with us for over an hour after the show last week and just chatted stuff about racing. And
it was so awesome. The insight that they gave us and what goes on and everything else like that we don't always fit into a time. It's just our signal. I think it is. Colin?
So now that's 24 hours Blancpain at
Spa-Francorchamps.
What I'm looking forward to about this is nighttime.
Yeah.
And down Kimmel Strait, and it's. I think I'd love to go and race there. But anyway, so now we're going to Gary.
Now it's time to get on to what we actually
because we've come to talk about these Nash Motorsport cars and the concept behind them and why. And there's a workshop here there's 10 proper cars, and there's about 10 cars in bits and pieces all over the show. So our superstar will move out of the way. Gary, I'm actually quite good at getting in and out of this thing. So, here we are. Bonjour, mon ami. Right. Greetings and salutations. Did you enjoy the chopper ride?
Yes, it was amazing.
What I didn't like was the way that...
Swap side with me, if you don't mind.
Okay, so I'll just walk.
Yeah,
side.
Thank you very much.
What I didn't like, Gary, do you want to just bring it in a bit? What I
trying to crash the car like I normally do and frustrate James.
No, on a serious note.
So all our good testing gets done by Scott Temple and Keegan Campos, and all the other testing gets done by me. So I was just trying a bit of temperature testing today, just to see if we could make the car a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker.
The grunt work.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my temperature didn't move at all. Absolutely perfect day's testing.
So, James, normally when this blooming microphone, I've got to remember who's talking. Am I talking now, Gary?
You're talking now.
So-
And that's James over there. And
James
that's
Forbes, Matthew Nash. James, why? What's your involvement here, number one? And then number two, why?
My involvement is as Matthew's partner. The concept of the car started to come together principally with Matthew now almost 3 years ago. And I liked what he was coming up with. I liked the approach that he was taking to the car. And it very much fitted in my view as to what was missing from our local motorsport in terms of an accessible, cost-effective, affordable racing car that can be shared by one or multiple drivers, that can do endurance racing, can do sprint racing. You can go out on a track day and frighten the family. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this car that, quite simply, there's nothing else available that is as flexible and as robust as the Nash MVW3.
And it's also pretty technically, while technically solid. Matthew, I think you're the guy to answer this one. He's just a driver, and, well, not just, but many things. But principally, so the technical guy, it's technically solid, but what's the word? Is it basic or simple?
I'd say basic. You know, your average run-of-the-mill mechanic could build the engine. In fact, I think James could actually build the engine. If we wanted
That's
to
simple.
Yeah,
That is simple.
if we wanted to swap that one around. It's based on VW components. VW.
Just, you can just move this hand a little bit and then squeeze it. There we go.
Am I squeezing things I'm not supposed to be squeezing? That's a common complaint, Gary.
Switches the microphone off when you squeeze it. Thank you.
Our whole concept behind the car is that you can run it from your garage at home if you have a little bit of technical ability. Anything you need to really find out about the engine or gearbox, you can Google, you can find it on the internet. Any mechanic has built a Golf engine. It's virtually the first engine they would have built. It's completely simple.
Let's just go through the spec. It's a tube space frame chassis with essentially the drivetrain of a Golf Mark 1
Yes.
in the back.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. Obviously, the engine
1800 2 litre?
is 2 litre.
So it's 2 litre GTI basically driving in the back. Golf gearbox, Golf clutch. Let's go and take a walk. So hold on. Let's just stop and check this car. Gary, I've got to remember all this stuff here, man. Oh, man. Blooming production department. So here's the back end of it. Golf motor, the inlet and the outlet.
Yeah, so the inlet manifold we make ourselves, just so that it fits underneath the bodywork. Henny van der Linde actually helped us quite a bit with the developments on this side and on the exhaust side. So the exhaust we make ourselves, this we make ourselves just so that it fits nicely into the car. The rest of it, generally a scrapyard engine. They're about $7,000. We changed the sump. We made a sump ourselves with a bit of help.
Is it a wet sump?
It is a wet sump, so you don't need an expensive dry sump pump.
So for those technically minded people, the oil sits at the bottom of the engine when you drive over curbs and you put a hole in it. Much like a Mercedes Formula One car, you can't drive over curbs because it puts holes in things. So let's go and have a look here. The sump is over there. On a dry sump motor, you'd have a separate oil tank and all the rest of it. And this fuel tank at the back over here, James, just fuel tank, what capacity?
70 litres, so it's a bit too big for what we're trying to achieve. We can't run long enough in the South African Endurance Series to really make the size of the tank of any value, so just because the car uses around 20 litres an hour. So basically what happens is you actually run out of time that you're allowed to drive before we run out of fuel, because the engine is obviously a fairly standard-ish road car type engine that makes enough power, doesn't use that much fuel.
But so in a 4-hour race, you only really need to make one pit stop. And that was the secret to you guys winning the Index of Performance last race.
Yes.
Have you has it sunken in that you've designed, built, developed a car that wins the Index Performance in SA Endurance Racing?
Yeah, look, it's a great achievement, and it was one of the things that I think took too long to come to us. I think we we made a few mistakes along the way, and it should have been a bit sooner. Certainly, having the right drivers helped. But we have the right recipe here. We don't have to change the tires ever. In fact, if we could do a 9-hour, we wouldn't have to change the tires, which is a big thing because
9 hours coming.
Yeah, I hope so. The car's so easy on the tires, and it's very light on fuel. You don't have to do fuel stops. You don't risk the drive-through penalties. You don't need a big fancy fuel rig.
Yeah. And the other thing is, in the endurance series, the refuel can that you're using now is sort of mandated for these cars.
It is for our class purely because we really want to attract the guy that arrives, 2 people and a bakkie. Not 50 people in a Pantechnicon, and that's exactly what this class is about. It's about running cars on a budget.
Okay, so talk us through the rear suspension here. You've got the standard caliper.
Yep, so that's
this is the front end of a Golf.
Yes. Well, it's a City Golf caliper that we buy from VW Motorsport. Golf brake disc that we get from Ferodo. Ferodo give us ridiculous pricing on them, and then it's.
I hope that's ridiculous low.
It's ridiculously low, yeah.
Well done, Ferodo. Ferodo support Motorsport. Guys, if you're looking for brake pads, discs, and all of that, go to Ferodo. If you're looking for spark plugs and stuff and wiper blades, because summer's coming and the rain is going to be thundering down. Did you feel that warmth in the air today? And wiper blades and spark plugs. Champion, those are the ones that to go for. We here at WavedYellow support local brands who sponsor South African motorsport. So Matthew, this is the beginning, we're sort of at the beginning of life. This is a brand new car under construction.
Yes.
And while we're here, let's just talk about the front suspension again. So we've got same calipers as the back?
Yes. So it runs same caliper front and rear. We run a different size pad to generate a similar amount of heat. You obviously get far more braking in the front of the car, which is pretty straightforward. City Golf steering rack, straight from VW Motorsport, I think $500 or something like that, and it lasts forever. Golf 2 steering knuckle, Golf bearing, Golf disc, Golf caliper,
and the
Golf
upright?
hub. The upright we fabricate here purely because it's a proper race car component, and you can run the same upright the whole way around the car.
So you buy 4 of the same thing and just turn them around and backwards, forwards?
Yeah. Well, we don't buy it, we make them.
No, I'm talking about as a customer.
No, you would buy one as a customer.
Okay.
Because one fits on any corner of the car, it's part of our concept of keeping this very, very cheap for people. You don't have to carry a million spares.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Most of the spares are available from Midas, from Goldwagen, from whatever shop you can find there has City Golf spares.
And when you go to a race, you've got a ginormous transporter over here. You take the cars, but you also take a store of spares. So if I, for instance, just wanted to run one on budget, I could arrive there and change the wheels myself, and if anything broke, I could come to your van and swipe the card and buy a part.
Absolutely, that's our whole business model, is to look after the customers as much as possible. So we carry a huge amount of space, huge.
That's absolutely awesome. But Gary, let's go back to this suspension. It's not as basic as one might think. There's a rocker over here, so you've got a push rod mounted off the lower control arm here that drives into a rocker and into a coilover shock. Those are conies?
They actually, it's a Sachs damper, locally made.
Whoops.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just looked at it and I saw red and...
No,
okay.
we've really gone as far as we can to support the local motorsport economy as well. It's obviously very important that we keep everybody going as much as they keep us going. So we have done that. Mark's done an incredible job.
Yeah.
The dampers have been cost effective, and we haven't had a problem yet.
Oh, you mean Sachs as in S-A-C-S, not Sachs as in von Deutschland aus.
S-A-X as in Weinberg.
Yes, these
down the
made
road.
in Weinberg.
Yes.
Mark he's done some awesome jobs back in touring car days. So, and the design is actually quite interesting because the force of the suspension comes up here, pivots around here, and then drives this back, and you feed the forces into the longitudinal members of the frame. Very nice.
Look, obviously a lot of the design was stolen from the Formula Fords that I've run over the years.
Borrowed. We don't steal, we borrowed. Or inspired.
Okay, I got a lot of inspiration from all the Formula Fords that I've run over the years, and I like the rocker suspension stuff from a number of points of view. It's very easy to set up.
So this could be a I mean, in a lot of ways, it looks like a Formula Ford that was cut down the middle and widened and
Well, that was
And
that was
cross-braced
my plan when I
and-
started off was to have something the same speed as a Formula Ford, without the cost, give the guys a lot of experience, and also you can put a passenger in. So we did a lot of driver coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pedal box over here, in that car that I sat in, that thing I think was driven by a dwarf before I got in there, because the pedals, you can move the... See these holes here, Gary? Down here.
Yeah.
Where's lighting? Did they just decide to go on a strike?
Yeah.
Wait.
No. So there are these holes over here. We've got a whole lighting department that...
Lighting just woke up.
Yeah. So you can move the pedal box backwards and forwards to cater for different size legs.
Look, the
But there's not a whole lot of room in here. Eh? If you've got size 11s or 12s,
No,
you've got a
absolutely
problem.
fine. No, we've had there's a guy called Neil Delata, who I think is probably the biggest, racing driver in South Africa. I mean, he sort of dwarfs Graham Nathan, and he got in here fairly comfortably. So
Is he as grumpy as Graham Nathan?
It's hard to say. I don't know which one would hit me harder. So
No,
be
yeah.
polite.
So, Gary, the butterflies are going, there's parts over here. And here's that upright that we were talking about. So it's handed, not non-handed.
Not-handed, yeah.
And it's actually a nice bit of kit. I've got to say, from a quality point of view, I'm quite impressed. Who did this welding here?
I did.
Just check this. That's MIG welding there, hey? Or TIG.
It's TIG here
Yeah.
in the corners.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, that's a very easy one to make look pretty as well, though. To be fair, the rest of them that look pretty were fairly difficult. And then you can see all the City Golf stuff in here. City Golf bearing, City Golf hub from your local spare shop, VW from whoever, and our Ferrari disc.
Shiny bits,
I know.
shiny things, lovely.
Yeah, not expensive race car.
Right, what would you like to show us? What's the...
What I find impressive, if I made you, is this front crumple zone they've got over here. And I imagine that is designed specifically to allow the cars to give without damaging chassis when they do have a bit of an off.
Yeah, look, obviously the safety thing it's the most important thing when you start off with a project like this. So, see, like any proper single seat or sports car, your feet sit behind the center line of the front wheels, which
That's
is
right.
very, very important.
Yeah.
It was a rule brought in the 80s to stop the guys from wearing their knees around the ears. Obviously a massive safety thing. And then this all just comes apart. So when you clobber it or something hits the wall like this, it all folds up along with the wooden splitter and the nose and everything like that. And in theory creates a crumple zone.
Sorry, there's behind the scenes here. One day we're going to do that.
Some ballet.
Gary, while you go from that crumple zone, let's go to this other crumple zone over here. And this is the fueling rig.
isn't it? Yeah.
So, Matt, talk us through this fueling drum and what the bits and pieces are. And what's the capacity of it?
Okay, so it's 30 litres, but you'll never pick up 30 litres and try put it in the car. We tried that, and yeah, maybe if you have Graham Nathan, you can do that, but just for a normal person, 20 is fine. So what we generally do in a pit stop is we do 21 litres now that this car uses. So we'll put like 42, 43 litres into the car. Like that, we've got 2 fuel stops of 21. It's pretty straightforward. You pick it up, you open the tap, like that. You dump the fuel in because obviously you've pre-done a fuel calculation, and off you go.
And to let the fuel comes out of here and the air goes in there.
Yeah, it breathes through here.
Because you can't get stuff out unless you put something in.
It just makes it nice and quick, but also you can chuck these on the back of your bucky. You don't need a massive truck to transport your fuel rig and all the rest. So that's really our thinking behind it more than anything.
The other cool thing here, Gary,
Yes.
is come around and have a look at this corner over here. And this is the double A arm suspension.
Yeah.
And the inner joint, you can move the inner mounting point. And as you move it, you change the ride height, the height of the roll center, and you change the camber gain on it. So that's like kind of cool and adjustable. And there's adjustable for the lower one over here as well. So I would imagine you can get some quite interesting handling combinations.
Well, instead of putting an anti-roll bar on it, you can just change the roll centers around, because the anti-roll bar virtually fights the roll centers. So You can move the roll centers up and down. We have done quite a bit of testing on that, but the reason why the car is so good on the tyres is because the roll bars don't hammer the tyres and the car's not stiffly set up. So everything's a bit of a compromise, but that's how we're able to do sometimes 3-4 hour race meetings on one set of tyres.
Awesome.
That's the biggest thing here.
So-
We've had to go with economy. Economy is our game here. We can do 9s at Swartkops, but we can do them at a very low price.
Okay, so it's locally made and produced, so there's local industry and not just, it's not just all imported stuff. It's relatively cheap to buy, or nothing's cheap, but it's affordable. What is, if I want to put my order in now, James, if I put my order in now, what would the bill be?
Colin, while we're doing that, if we just walk over there and you can discuss it with James and give us all that information. at the
Oh,
same
back
time.
to where the lighting department came earlier and set up the floodlights, because that's how it should be. So we're going to talk about this one here. Those tackies of yours are squeaking like hell. Are you playing a tennis player, Gary? So what's the bill for a brand like that one over there is going out? It's just about, you said earlier, it's going to a customer, the one that
This one,
Matthew's
yeah,
standing there.
Correct. So that's being delivered to its new owner, its proud new owner this week.
Yeah.
Turnkey, ready to race, out of the workshop, is 289,500, including VAT.
So for 289 grand, you've got a racing car that you can go and have fun with.
You can put it straight on the trailer, take it straight to the track, enter your first race meeting, you're ready to go.
That's got to be tempting to some of you guys who generally say to us, how do I get started in motorsport? Well, firstly, go to your website and look for nashmotorsport.co.za, yes?
That's exactly right.
And have a good look around there. There's the history of the build, there's the story on the early testing, and then where's the first chassis you built? Or did you throw it away? You're not allowed to do that. Always remember the history of motorsport. And then have a look, Gary, if you can get the cameraman to point over there, sort of in that area under the work. Let's go and have a look there. All the bits and pieces ready for another car.
For another 10 cars.
That's what I meant to say.
So this over here is all ready for 10 cars. Are those already pre-ordered?
No, we build in batches of 10 to maintain the efficiency of the production. So they will be cars on the floor ready for their new owners.
And these tubes are all laser cut?
All laser cut.
So, Gary, come and have a look here. Back in the day, when you needed to fish mouth a tube, there was angle grinder and tin snips and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But that's all now nicely laser cut and things get fit together. And
I have one question, just while we're talking about that, and maybe you can go into it a bit more just now. If I didn't want to buy a car, could I come and buy a seat for a race?
Most
In
certainly.
other words, you're going off to go and ride the 4 hours in PE in a couple of weeks' time, and I was a fancy driver, thought I'm good enough.
Yep.
If there was a car with a spare seat, I could hire that seat and go racing. So in other words, I arrive and drive and I have a party. What would that cost a guy?
Well, we had 2 cars. We have 2 cars that we use for arrive and drive at the various race meetings. So at the most recent Swartkops 4 hour, we had 2 arrive and drive cars there. And the typical cost of running an arrive and drive car is around about 15,000 Rand, 12,000 Rand an hour.
that's kind of,
So let me now divide that down into 3 seats. So you would then be splitting that across 3 drivers.
very interestingly, talking to one of the rally teams, to run a Ford, what did they run, the Focus?
Yep.
That
RS
Class-
2000.
the 2000 car. That was something in the region of 100 euros an hour.
No, a kilometer.
Sorry, a kilometer.
Sure, yeah,
Yes. 100 euros a kilometer, which is a schloed. So when you talk about affordable racing, 15 grand an hour is very, very is reasonable.
Well, that's a fully factory-supported drive, meaning it is turnkey. You just arrive, our crew are there looking after the car, and that's everything.
And you
taken care of.
polish it as well?
We polish it
You
as
keep
well.
it clean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's car rental in it as well. If you own your own car, it's way
Just to give you an idea, though, this particular car that you were enjoying sitting in, it competed in the 6-hour race at Pekisa with a new team of drivers. They were over the moon with their performance, and the whole weekend cost them to run the car themselves, cost them less than 25,000 rand for a 6-hour race shared across 3 drivers. Now,
Sure.
there is very little in the way of value for money to be found anywhere else that can begin to match that.
The reason we go on about this is, from a cost point of view, and I'm so glad that we're here, that we can actually sit and share developments like this, local industry. We, as a lot of people in motorsport, don't understand the level of the industry, where on the top end of the scale, you've probably got Hall Speed with their off-road, the Dakar and raid cars, and right down to, this is the other end of the spectrum. But a lot of the techniques, the laser cutting of the tubes, the jigging, and there's a jig, everybody's got to have a completely, a flat table that doesn't twist and bend, and big fat I-beams on it. We've had a look down there, but it's all dark, and there's some secret components on it that we've been asked. Our legal department got together with Nash's legal department. We're not allowed to show, so we won't go there. But believe me, it's proper. The techniques are the same here in, what's this area we're in, Ronsburg?
We're in North Riding.
In North Riding, as it is at the shed in Kyalami. So we're getting nudges from a whole lot of people about timing again, and I just want to thank Matthew and James and just for inviting us in and being open and sharing with. We've got like about 1 million viewers, and we're sharing with everybody the passion and what you do. And I've got to say congratulations. What's next?
The next 10 cars out and running, more new people coming into motorsport, and that's really what this whole project is about, is opening the door for people to come in and enjoy motorsport without having to break the bank. And I think over the next 12 months we're going to see a lot of the Nash cars running, both in the Endurance Series nationally and in the local sports car series that we also assist and support. And it's an exciting time for budget motorsport.
I think it's absolutely magic. Matthew, may your next drive be some proper testing and fun testing and not the drudge work.
Oh no, I love it.
But
it's absolute heaven.
at least you're in a car.
No, I don't know anyone that gets to go to Swartkops on Wednesday afternoon to go and drive their racing car, and that's their job.
That is got to be the best closing that we've got. So, what have we got to look forward to this weekend? Spa 24 hours. 2 weeks' time, Gary, is the Mandela Bay 500.
In fact, it's in 17 days' time.
That's
just a day over 2 weeks.
That's like 2 weeks and a bit of change.
And a bit of change, yes.
So track action gets going tomorrow in Spa. Our action comes to an end now. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Waved Yellow. I still don't know what to expect, but we will see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.